This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, the Baroness and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4 Me.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes. I'm your host, the Baroness of Ayrshire and Glen Lyons, Summer Helene, and we are on with my co-host, Steve Jobs.
I'm back, baby, better than ever. And Apple is not doing great, so I'm here to fix it.
It is not.
I got it before we
What
jump
is
in.
going on with you in that turtleneck?
I love this turtleneck, but I did honestly. This is for an outfit I had planned for later on today because we're going to that event in Los Angeles.
We're going to an
And
AI
so-
convention.
Yeah, AI, e-commerce, and influencer economy convention. I thought I was wearing something else entirely. So this is the undershirt I put on, but I'm going to change here once we get off the show, and we're on a different suit actually,
You look like Ellen DeGeneres, but a little less gay.
and a little less being mean to everyone on set, right? Yeah, exactly.
I was like, but you and she have a lot in common.
Me and Ellen what do you mean Ellen DeGeneres have in common?
You're both funny.
Thank you.
You're both successful. You both have a great social media following. You both make people cry at work, and you both like vagina.
I feel like some of those are not on the same playing field, but I will take the compliments as it is. And who am I making cry at work?
Usually people that lose fights to you.
Oh.
I mean, granted, she makes interns cry, but you know.
Yeah, it's a bit different. I never got that
You
because
both
those
cause
people are going to
pain
be
to people
successful.
you work with.
I never got that because if you're going to work under Ellen DeGeneres after everything you've learned about her, you're going to be successful if you can tough that out. So I don't know why she'd be so mean to you, knowing that this is the next head
future,
whatever,
yeah,
the
it's
future
your boss in
A-list
the
whatever.
future.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd ever want to treat them poorly because that's only going to reflect poorly on you later on.
It has more to do with ego. Essentially, her decision is, I'm more important than you.
Yeah. Usually that's what it comes from. I mean, does she think she's going to be the top number one human one day? Because
She was the top number one human.
well, now it's Elon, unfortunately. So it's definitely not going to come back.
No, Elon's not the number one human. He's just the richest man in the world.
I think that makes you the number one human.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. If you have more money than everyone else on the planet, who cares what anyone else thinks? Now, I will say this. He's the
Elon
richest
cares a great deal about what other
for
people think.
whatever reason.
Like
Oh
he
my
is
God.
obsessed with what other people think.
He's silencing people who
Him
have,
and Blake Lively.
yeah.
It's weird.
And he's going on and he's silencing people's accounts who call him out on stuff. And these are like irrelevant humans to him, like Bill Burr, funny comedian, great
Love
following.
Bill Burr.
No matter what Bill Burr says, it's never going to impact the decisions and deals that Elon's going to make.
SpaceX, yeah.
So I don't know why he would go on and basically ban his Twitter account.
Oh, because you have to do what I want and make me feel good. It's all about ego. When you look at
really is.
billionaires and tech billionaires especially, you're looking at people that are ego driven.
Yeah.
But more than that, they are what's a nice way of saying it? They're narcissistic, and not in a bad way. You are not going to be captain of industry if you don't, have a bit of a god complex, which is fine. Look at
You can
Steve
see that,
Jobs.
yeah.
Look at some of these people. They're the most successful people in the world. I'm not going to knock them for having a god complex. I'm simply saying, in Elon's case, he has a bit of a fragile ego.
I want to complain to Apple, by the way. These products have not gotten better. They've gotten
I'm
worse.
really pissed
very
off at
unhappy.
Apple. I don't get half my text messages. Like, Apple is starting to hurt my feelings.
I've not been able to have successful phone calls with this. This is the latest phone they offer, and I have not had successful phone calls. It crashed on me twice today in a row.
Yeah,
so
I have the one from right before this, and it's not any better.
It's ridiculous.
Apple, you are screwing us.
That said, please sponsor the show.
We love you.
We love you, Apple.
As we say that, what is it? We're all the devices in front of us. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got
We
like
have
9
tablets in the
Apple
drawers behind
devices.
us.
Yeah,
Was it?
Apple, everything. I don't think we have any Android.
We're a slave to the ease of Apple, but we are unhappy with the current level of quality the products are at.
Speaking of poor quality, Blake Lively is back in the news.
She never left the news.
Oh
She's
no, she
constantly
did
doing
for a
terrible
minute. Meghan
things.
Markle came in with her whole With Love Meghan show.
Yeah, but is that really newsworthy, or that's just something?
It tanked pretty bad.
Immediately. That's the only reason why people are talking about it, is how poorly. If
They thought it would do well.
she's not a star in the sense that she cannot hold a show together, she's not charismatic enough. She just needs to be another secondary character. And props to her. You can make a great living like that, and you can produce the show, but it shouldn't be about you.
She thinks she can hold the show. She's trying to do this lifestyle show
Yeah.
where it's all about her.
What's it called again? With Love, Megan?
With Love, Megan. She
Yeah.
copied, because Diana, so you guys know, shout out to the Princess and the Platypus Foundation. We're actually putting together a museum for her, for Princess Diana's clothing. But the Princess Diana used to sign all her letters with Love, Diana.
That's awesome. Also really creepy. That's how she wants to take it immediately.
Yeah, she really
she wants
she's
to
building
embody
this-
her so much.
She's really pushing the Oedipus complex in Ginger Dangles.
Now, do you think it's him pulling away from her more, or her pulling away from him more?
What do you mean?
Because they're definitely not the same couple they were. Absolutely
Oh,
not.
hell no.
He is so far away from her emotionally. I think it's palpable, but I need to know who's doing it.
I think she pulled back and he's gone, you promised me this life in California that it's just not.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure she sold him on being an A-list celebrity and having all this great connections.
Here's the problem. She was never an A-list celebrity.
No.
And I'm not knocking her. Getting to be a regular for 7 years on a TV program is a big deal.
That did well. That was a good show. Yeah.
No slight to her. That is a hard thing to do. She was an ongoing on the show, like, points to her. I'm really impressed. That's a big deal. That doesn't make her Angelina Jolie.
No.
That's still a different level. So she's told him, like, hey, we can go there and be an A-list celebrity. But she cannot guide him into the A-list world because she was never there herself.
But, that's funny. Do you think she had enough context to get A-list celebrity status? I do think she did. I think right now.
Yes and no. And what I mean by that is, if you look at her wedding, it was full of A-listers.
Yes.
She invited them because she was networking. But she's networked for so long trying to build her brand.
Yeah.
She didn't know what to do with it when she got it. And that's the problem. She wanted to be a star, overshot, and became a royal. So she's still acting like that C-list celebrity. And that's not a slight.
Okay. Now that said, do you think that do you think it was mainly they showed up because Harry was there? Like, what was their advantage? Because if
you
I
go to a royal wedding, let's put it this way.
Okay, that's what it is. Going to a royal wedding.
So we're doing a TV show about royalty.
Yes.
We're focused on the people that work for royalty. We're working with Prince Mario Max. We're working with the Medici family. We are working with Harry and Meghan. We are working with the King of Nigeria. We are working with Ghana. We're working with Korea. We are working with multiple royal families
who reside at least
partially in the United States, including Madeline of Sweden. Now, the reality is, when you deal with the royals, it's a different world. It is very, very different. You can open doors in a different way, but they are very, very selective. Because I'm a baroness, they're willing to talk to me and they're willing to do the show, trusting that I, kind of come from the same circles as them. So I'm not going to screw them over.
Is that peerage, right? That's what you're
peerage, nobility.
Okay, just I don't want to say the wrong words. I'm an American.
Sorry, Kimberly, when we were little, and I'd explain that we were peerage. She used to tell everyone we were porridge. So I thought that was fantastic. She thought it meant we got oatmeal.
I like oatmeal.
So
is porridge just oatmeal?
Porridge is just oatmeal.
Why do you guys call it porridge?
Because we speak English.
That's not true. If I say oatmeal, you know what I'm saying.
If I say cornmeal, you know what I'm saying, but you guys change the wording on everything.
What's cornmeal to us then?
Cornmeal's just corn paste. Oatmeal's just oat paste. In our case, porridge.
I like oat paste better. Wait, I like oat paste much better than oatmeal or porridge.
Anyway,
oat paste with brown sugar and.
Speaking of boring, bland, and beige,
and full fat milk.
Blake Lively is still in the news.
Right, I forgot we were on that topipic too. So, apart from deviating into Meghan Markle, what's got her back in the forefront, and why is she not staying the hell away from the cameras?
She's trying to sue.
She's always
suing. She's trying to say, like, it's he shouldn't be able to talk about the case because it could, tamper the jury pool, and it's retaliation. I'm like, ma'am, you spoke first.
Yeah.
And then they're like, no, this is a really serious matter. I'm like, didn't you just go on SNL with your husband and make a joke about this?
They did. And she's just mad that he's got the receipts to say, hey, no, I wouldn't be saying anything, but you're talking publicly about the problem, and I'm not going to let you defame me. Here's what's actually happened.
That is the problem. He was willing to keep his mouth shut. He even kept his mouth shut at the premiere to try and make this film go well.
He stayed back
it wasn't
under
until
the basement or whatever.
It wasn't until she opened her mouth that he was like, All right, now I have to.
Yeah, because the movie mattered more. That was the point. To her,
He was
she
a
mattered
producer.
more than everything else. To him, the movie mattered most.
Well,
And so he was just
here's
trying to let it all
the reason
go.
people didn't like her was because of Baldoni. It never occurred to her people don't like her because she's kind of an ass.
I want to say this though. This whole circumstance came about because she initially claimed that he was harassing her, right?
Yes.
And it's come out now that he is not, and that she may have even been pushing him.
Yes.
But I think to come out and try and ruin someone's reputation on such a public stage like that, and it's the first thing you're talking about when you just had this awesome movie and everything that's going pretty well for you, she had to have done something very heinous that they're not talking about yet, or that he doesn't have physical proof of, so he's not willing to bring it up yet outside the court. I think way worse.
I think he just tried to save his reputation. Well, let's ask somebody smarter than us. He's got his own book coming out. He is the god of our industry, the one that created E. I'd like to invite to the show Mr. Larry Namer.
To be here.
Hello,
day,
hello.
sir.
How you doing?
Hi, all good, all good.
Good. Now, you are the expert in this industry. Do you think there's more hidden information in the Blake Lively case?
There's no question there's more hidden information in the Blake Lively case. It's so convoluted and, just laced with so much ego, literally on both sides. But, I think this whole thing, I think you're right. I mean, she started taking the conversation public and then is complaining that the conversation went public. And you can't blame him for that one.
No,
not at all.
That's it. It's definitely bit her in the butt. Now you are the king of Hollywood gossip. Like, you created the most influential behind the scenes show in Hollywood history.
Yeah, well, he is, I mean, it was very different than anything was on. Before we existed, people would fight to get 20 seconds on Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood. And then all of a sudden we came around and really began to dig in depth and also looked at celebrity very differently. There, it wasn't just, so Tom Cruise, tell me about your next movie. It's like, hey, can we come to your house and check out your closet? And,
Yeah.
we started doing, the red carpet stuff and at all the awards, and we're more interested in the clothes people were wearing than what their next project was and stuff. So we did have a pretty big impact on changing the way celebrities are covered, literally worldwide.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he's now in 142 countries. Arguably the biggest influence of pop culture in the world. And what people don't realize, they not all. There's only been one TV network that's ever been started by a person, as opposed to a media company, and that's E. I mean, it was me and my friend Alan started it literally from having the idea to writing a plan, to raising the money, to putting it on the air, to growing it, and and stuff like that, and even.
Oh, he froze.
Oh,
I think we lost him.
I think someone gave him a phone call.
Oh, do we have
There we
you?
go.
Oh, good. You were cutting
You
out.
have me. I'm here.
Oh, good.
Okay,
Good. You were
good,
cutting
good.
out.
Oh, wow. We're good now.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's still the only network ever started by people as opposed to media companies.
I do have to disagree with you on one thing. I would not say it is arguably the most influential. I would say it is without a doubt the most influential. I'm just
Well,
saying.
I agree with you, but that's my humility, peeking
Okay.
through. Somebody gave me an interesting statistic that if you take the 100 top influencers of pop culture, internet influencers, and you add up the number of people that they reach in any given day, they don't reach as many people as E does.
Oh, no. Not
Yeah.
even close.
No, not with the
Not even close.
reputation.
Well, E also was the first station not to be like butt kissy with the celebrities, like tell me what you want. They would actually find out the information. I mean, you guys really did it differently than it's ever been done.
Yeah, I mean, the first long form show that we did was Talk Soup, and when Alan and I came up with that, everybody was saying, Larry, you can't do a TV show that makes fun of TV shows. And I was like, why not? That's exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
And, while everybody kind of poo-pooed it at the beginning, I mean, that show ran 26 years.
Yeah.
So, and then, we found this in a elevator in New York, we ran into this tall radio guy who was telling us about how good his radio show is. And we went and looked at it. And I came back and said, hey, I want to put cameras in this guy's radio studio. And everybody went, Larry would talk. We thought Talk Soup was insane, but radio's been dead for 40 years. Why would we do that? Well, that guy was Howard Stern. And, obviously
Yep.
Howard went on to do pretty well. And, and then you have Ryan Seacrest and E! Hollywood True Story and Wild on E! And stuff, which was basically our sensibility. Everybody was treating everything Hollywood like it was rocket science or you're curing some disease. Al and I just said, Hollywood is funny stuff. Let's not try and make believe it's more than that. And, and then last but not least, you look at the success of the Kardashians.
Yep.
There, and global. I mean, again, because we were reaching 142 countries, we were able to take the Kardashians global literally instantaneously, which is not an easy thing to do.
I think that really does make you the most influential channel in the world, because if you look at the Kardashians as the most influential family in the world, and they are, love them or hate them, they absolutely are the most influential family in the world. And without, Ryan Seacrest, without you, without E, they're not here. Right. And it was a huge risk, and it was the birth of that kind of television.
Yeah, no, there's no question. And, and it's funny, I get a lot of stuff, people like, the Kardashian haters. Like if I go on to talk somewhere, I'll get booed. They go, oh, there's the Kardashian guy and stuff. People don't realize that this was a TV show. And a lot of stuff that was done there was done for the camera. And, and then when we finish editing, we edited in the dramatic parts. We didn't put in the boring parts. And, people just have a hard time with that. But you look at the girls, and I credit the mom. I credit Chris for really
she's brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah. And, those girls have done amazing. I mean, they are the epitome of the American dream. So I don't know how you could hate on them.
I think one, it's jealousy. And I think if you look at, they don't like the Kim Kardashian Ray J thing, which is fine. But here's the thing. Pamela Anderson had a tape too. Everyone loves her. It is what it is. So I think they were smart enough to capitalize on the moment they had. They worked with you and took that moment and turned it into one of the biggest lifestyle brands, television shows, and culture shifters in American history. Nothing has ever shifted culture like E! and the Kardashians, ever.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. I agree.
So if people don't like them, screw them. Sorry. So it's not ladylike, but screw them.
We've talked a little bit now about how influential E! has been over the years, but and the motivation behind kind of getting in more of a personal sight of what these celebrities are like. Was that the motivation for why you started the companies? You wanted to show people a little more of what these celebrities are as people?
Yeah. And, the initial thought was actually a lot small. We grew into that role over time as we began to get validation from people that they love what we're doing. But, when we started, it was kind of the time where MTV, early MTV days, when they actually showed music videos. And really what they did was they would get music videos from the record companies for free. And they would stand a host in front of a green screen and go, and Madonna has a new video, and they'd point to the green screen. And Al and I looked at it and said, oh my God, well, we could get movie trailers from the movie studios for free, and we could stand a host in front of a green screen and go, and Schwarzenegger has a new movie. I mean, essentially, it's the same arm movement. We weren't smart enough to realize that people don't give money to just two guys from the East Coast to start TV networks. So we wrote a plan, really starting out with, calling it MTV of the movies. It was literally that simple. And, it took us 3.5 years to raise the first 10 cents. But then we raised a little bit of money, not anywhere near what normally it would cost to do a TV network. And people loved it, and then we grew from there. And then we said, okay, we could go to more long form programming. So we started Talk Soup, and Hollywood True Stories and Howard Stern and, all of those. But those followed, starting out as MTV and the movies. And then we kind of became Entertainment Tonight 24 hours a day.
For you, what is it like now? I know everyone in Hollywood knows who you are. I mean, you are, it sounds terrible, the worst kept secret in Hollywood. Everyone knows who you are. Everyone knows what you've done. Everyone wants a piece of you. Outside of Hollywood, not everyone knows who you are. So when you go out into, the real world, not Hollywood, and you see how much what you've done has changed culture, does that ever take you aback a little bit?
Yeah, once in a while, again, I'm fairly humble about most of this. And, I look and I go, okay, I figured out people around the world love Hollywood celebrities and gossip. Big deal. But no, every once in a while you get that moment. I do a lot of stuff in China, and I actually have a big media company in China. We're the only Western company allowed to be there. And when my partner in China was introducing me to someone, and she goes, "Oh, he's the one." Excuse me.
That's it.
Oh, excuse me. So, she's explaining to the guy in Mandarin that, oh, this is the guy that started the E channel, and I could see the guy with a total puzzled look, and she continues the conversation, and then all of a sudden the guy goes, talk soup, and I'm like, oh my God, that there's a show that I did, kind of as a joke, that's resonated to cultures all around the world. And so, yeah, there's those kind of moments. And, then I'll run into people that, say, I used to watch it, every day before I go to sleep. I'd watch 3 or 4 hours of it and stuff. And, it's kind of take my mind off of my problems and stuff. So, yeah, every once in a while I do get those moments.
You're like, oh my God, I changed the world. Like I changed the entire landscape of Hollywood. It's got to be a lot. Now you have a book coming out.
It's out now.
It's out now. I knew that. So where can we get your book, and can you tell us about it?
Sure. The book is called Off Script, one word, and you can get it on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. It's on just about every one of the book, Ingram, and the book is it's actually an odd book because people have been after me to write my story for like 20 years, and I've always been like, hey, I'm not ready to write a last chapter yet, so I'm not writing a book.
Yeah.
But then I finally decided that, okay, I'll do it, but I want to do the book very differently than most bio books. So if you really look at my career, growing, starting from when I was a kid, you literally could kind of divide my life up into 7-year segments. So there's growing up in Brooklyn years, my working in Manhattan cable years, my coming out to LA years, my E years, I had a big TV show in Russia for 11 years. I had the number one TV show in Russia for 11 years, 5 days a week. And, so then the Russia years, the China years, and now the post-COVID years. But my real passion is not television or media. My real passion is cooking. I've been cooking.
You're kidding.
I don't mean to laugh at that.
You're kidding. Like, hang on. You got to understand, like, to the rest of us, you're like this media god that changes the landscape. He's like, TV's okay, but I really like cooking. Like that.
And so I literally been cooking since I'm 12. Both my mother and my father worked, and my choice was learn how to cook or eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for dinner every night. So I learned how to cook, and I liked it, and I would read cookbooks and do that. So I decided that I'm going to take my life, break it into these 7 segments, and I'm going to write anecdotes of the stories that happened during those times, and then match them with the recipes that inspired me during those. So my book, Off Script, is somewhere between the bio and a bio and a cookbook.
That's genius.
That's absolutely genius. I love that.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be. I'm not surprised. It's brilliant, but I've never heard of anything like that. That is brilliant.
No, it's the first of its kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it went literally in its first week, it ended up hitting the bestseller list. So, obviously it hit the right chord.
Yeah, well,
little
that's a
bit,
true
yeah.
testament to what you've built, though. People loved what you did with E, and now they want to hear more about how you came about and what inspired you to do all these wonderful things and your cooking.
Yeah, and it's funny because there are obviously certain stories that I didn't put in the book because I want to keep my friends and not have them want to kill me. But people who read the book, calling me up or emailing me going, Larry, this cannot be true. I mean, this did not happen. I mean, please tell me it was all a made up story. And the fact of the matter is, none of it is made up. It's all 100% true. I mean, people don't realize that for many years, when I was in Russia,
Oh, he froze again. Oh, damn.
Oh no, this is what
I was like, I'm really stuck
my
on
next
this
question was
story
about the
of
Russian
Russia.
television part. I
I've
wanted
never
to
heard
know.
of anyone that's done that. You froze. Oh, I'm telling you, it's the phone calls. He gets so you guys know, when you get a phone call and you're on with us, it'll actually boot or freeze you. And he seems to be frozen. Is there any way we can fix this, please? I know our sound engineer is magical. He can fix this.
I know he's got it. Just a short matter of time is all. But
to get it back on. But I really want to hear that story.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of I'm really
I love that he couldn't.
impressed.
I love that he didn't even do a regular book. He was like, you know what I'm going to do? Something no one's ever seen before and make it a bestseller.
Well, that's kind of been his whole shtick, right? From the beginning with E!
Everything he
News,
does
from
is something you've never seen before. Everything he does.
But that's why we were calling him Media God, because there's this person here who just kind of keeps going against the norms consistently, and it pays off.
I actually own the company Media God, and I'm kind of feeling a little like a champ right now. A little bit.
I think I caught the sneezes from him though.
So he is the most interesting man in television.
I was an influential person. No, yes, interesting man in the world.
The most influential person
Dos Equis, get this guy on your commercial.
In entertainment history, period.
Yeah.
But he changed the entire face of entertainment. But he is incredibly interesting. And I love that he put recipes inspired by that point in his life. That is absolutely incredible.
And again, it's not something we would think about seeing in a biography or in a book. So I love that it's something else for the audience to interact with as well. And it shows why it became a bestseller.
But that's what he does. He takes something that would make sense when everyone was being, so butt kissy about Hollywood. He's like, oh, I'm flashing the camera. Apologies to my live stream. My aunt pointed out to me before I keep flashing. And I'm trying not to. Sorry, Auntie Rob. But basically, sorry, everyone else. Thank you for letting me know, Aunt Robin. But essentially, he takes something that you wouldn't think goes together or you wouldn't think works and makes it a little more irreverent and a lot more fun. And that's what he did with E! That's what he did with Talk Soup. With the Kardashians, I mean, you have to look at Kim Kardashian was Paris Hilton's, buddy, Brandy's closet organizer, and had a sex tape with Ray J. And these guys had the foresight to go, this is a powerhouse. Listen to Kris Jenner.
I kind of wonder why. Yes, of course, Kris Jenner, but you'd have to look at the whole family and think, okay, hey, this person's interesting. This person's not. This person's drama. This person's like comedic relief. You had to have looked at everybody and then, this can work. And so I also wanted to know, when we can get him back on, kind of why this family could have picked a million different families and made them all super. He had the reach. He could have made them all, any one of them super famous. Why these people? Was it just the mother who was able to get it together?
Can you see if we can get Larry back on, hon? We cut out.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, but it's that foresight. There are people that have foresight. You have to look at, is the only Western country or the only Western program operating in China.
That's another.
Nobody
you mentioned that too.
Gets a media license in China. I know. I've tried.
It's hard enough. You trying to get a media license in China?
Yeah,
what shows we want to do in China?
Quite a few.
Well, you tell us. We obviously have some time.
But no, I can't because they're under contract. It's like my cancelled. We sold on. But essentially, I wanted to do a show with Larry, but that show sold before I could get anywhere with Larry.
Oh.
I still want to do something with Larry just because I want to say that I worked with Larry Namer.
Oh, that's a huge bonus to you as well, being able to say that,
He is the most influential man in Hollywood. And like I said, everyone in Hollywood knows who he is. But I don't think people outside of Hollywood realize how much he has changed the media landscape.
No, I'll say that for sure. If I saw him walking past me on a regular day, I might look at him like, I've seen that guy before, but it would not strike me because he's kind of the person who makes A-list celebrities. He's not one,
kingmaker,
right? he doesn't put himself out there in the forefront for us to
No.
meet him
Well,
as an
if we
A-list
walked
person.
past him, you'd know who he was because Alexis and I would be running after him, going, "Mr. Neymar, Mr. Neymar, please talk to me."
Famous in your neck of the woods, right? Does that
Yeah.
that
No,
makes
in
sense?
Hollywood, he's a god.
That's right, exactly.
He's a
Okay.
Hollywood god.
So that's where you would know him from and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and then now, of course, wanting to make a show with him or whatever it is you guys plan on doing.
I'd do anything he wanted. I would leave you for him.
Oh, so it'd be total creative control.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. He's genius.
Okay.
He's one of those things. He is what Kanye West pretends to be.
What do you mean by that?
You know how Kanye West is like, "I'm a genius. I'm Jesus. I'm the second coming," right?
Yes.
Everything Larry Neymar has ever touched, as far as media goes, turns to gold.
This is true. I will say this. Kanye probably makes better music than Larry Namer.
Yes, but without the Larry Namers of the world, you wouldn't have the Kanyes of the world.
That's true. You would not. We need people like that. It's funny because you don't get to where you are without help. And I think it's something a lot of people miss when they look at something like the Kardashians, for example.
I love this. Is like, why didn't Bear get a nickname like the Baroness? That's not a nickname.
Oh, no,
it's a title.
I'm happy with my thing. Bear Fiorda is all I need because it's the same thing on all social media. I don't want a new one.
It's
but thank you for our
not
comments for trying to stick
well,
up for me, though.
It's not even that. The Baroness is not a nickname. It's a title.
Yeah, you are legitimate peerage,
Yeah.
right? We talked about that earlier.
Nobility. It's nobility.
But what I was going on earlier about is it's interesting. Everyone thinks that you do this by yourself, or why are the Kardashians famous? You know, what have they done? But they
Larry
need
is the reason they're famous.
there you go. It always takes someone who's in a position to help you to do so. It's kind of hard to break into Hollywood anyways without some type of contact or someone who's already in the industry to get you there. We like to think if it's not so nepotistic, like not with families and whatnot, but definitely if you have an in anywhere, it's better than if you're just starting cold, starting from nothing.
I will take one thing to the bank. If he says there's more to the Blake Lively case,
Yeah.
there's more because he has the behind the scenes. He's got the in.
Well,
He's
right.
got more ins than I have, and I've heard some stuff.
And now is he still running E-News or is
No.
that okay? So he's free to do other projects now and other things. So I wonder what is on the horizon for him.
Well, hence he just had the book come out.
Yes.
I love that it's a cookbook. That is fantastic.
It's a cookbook with stories in it, and that's what makes it really fun. I like that.
It's the story of his life being told.
Or is it a biography that also
It's
teaches
a
you
biography.
cooking?
It's a biography being told in recipe.
In recipe.
I like it. And I love that people like, that can't be real. I'm not surprised. He has been privy to every Hollywood scandal, disaster, and story that's ever happened.
Yeah. But you know, I'll also say this. People tend to think that our stories can be wild because they seem outrageous to us, but to that person, it may just be what they needed to do. There's a great story of a gentleman named Desmond Doss. He was a medic in the military during World War II, and he saved 70 plus people on this huge hill where they were getting decimated. Made a movie about him, cut down the amount of people he saved because it was too unrealistic. No one would buy that he did that actual thing, so they made it seem more human.
Yeah, they made it. He saved like 200, and they cut it down to like 70, and it was
a ridiculous number.
They actually dimmed down what he did.
Yes,
but he went to war without a gun.
Yes, he did.
Okay. Well, shoot him a text. So I don't know if he lost reception or what happened. Shoot him a text. Let him know we're here if he wants to call back. If not, we're happy to advertise his book. As always, we are huge fans of Larry Neymar, and he is a good friend of the show.
Yes, off script. Go pick up the book. I know we're going. I'm going to as soon as we're off the show.
That's not like a sell. We are not being paid to tell you to pick up that book. The reason I'm telling you that is if you want to be successful, the person whose life you need to look at is Larry Namer's. If you want to be rich, the person whose life you want to look at is Larry Namer's.
And I think if it's one thing we can take away just from our quick conversation so far is that if you have a great idea, even if people are saying that's bad, if you got the means, run with it. You could be the next Larry Namer.
But that's the thing.
idea.
And he was saying he didn't have the means. It took him 3 years to even start to get the money.
I guess I mean the drive to do it. He had to have the care to actually progress with that concept, you know? And it worked. It paid off.
I look at it this way.
Mhm.
If being rich matters to you, that's the person to emulate.
Yeah, being rich, successful. Hell, you can be famous too, because once you do it for one person, you can do it for yourself. So that's really up to you at that point what you want to do.
But I think if you look at his success, people say it's timing, right? Yeah. Yes, he was the first to come up with that, but I don't just think it's timing. Yes, it was the right time, but it didn't exist before him. Reality isn't what it is now without him. television isn't what it is without him.
Yeah. No, I like that too.
I mean,
'Cause-
podcasts. Howard Stern.
no, that he
was
made
the
podcasts
podcast
right now.
before podcasts existed. Exactly.
They made podcasts before it was a thing, you know?
Podcast before podcasts existed.
It reminds me a lot of our good friend Jimmy Starr. He's been doing
Mhm.
visual radio for decades now, right? So, or at least 15 years that I'm aware of.
We've been on the air for 13 years.
Yes.
And I was terrible about wanting to go visual. Absolutely terrible. I wanted to keep it radio.
So why'd you finally? We did switch
Because
and
you insisted.
You're welcome.
No, my last co-host was really good about keeping it not visual.
You've had some really amazing co-hosts over the years.
I know,
but this is
but then I
just
settled
the
for
time that
you.
it takes. I'm gonna turn the mic off. You settle for me, my ass. You do this alone. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding.
can
I
do
don't
it
want
alone.
to
I
stop.
can
I
replace
don't want
you.
to stop.
You are replaceable.
Can you not let me feel good a little bit? I'm
Fine.
important,
I'll
okay?
replace you in bed, not at work.
Tell me.
I helped. Better?
Oh man, I love you. You know that you are so good for me. You make me laugh. You make me smile, and you will not replace me. I can't let that go. I'm sorry.
You're
But
okay.
Something we
My
can.
favorite person is Matthew Morris Fine Jewelry. Just shout out.
do you want to give our sponsors
I
now while we're
do-
doing it?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, go for
I
it.
do want to give a shout out to Bellamy Hair. Thank you very, very much. Tiny Bubbles Hair Salon. And our giveaway this week is from Off-Road Rentals in Palm Springs, California. If you're in California, you want to go for an ATV ride.
Yes.
We're giving away 2 ATV rides. Jump on, tune in BTS. And if you can tell me your favorite, first person to tell me your favorite show from Larry Namer gets an ATV ride. Catch us in the DMs. And you got to give us. Where are we going for Comic-Con? You got this?
So we're going to the Embassy Suites by Hilton in Phoenix, Arizona.
He
I almost
literally
have the
has
street
one-
down too,
he
but I have to
literally
remember it.
has one sponsor. We have to shout out one.
I listen. It's good enough. That's right. I gave the right information. You give me more than one, I might make mistakes. So I'm happy with the one that I have.
Yeah, who does your jewelry?
Matthew Morris Fine Jewelry. I ironically had to look at my hand
Really?
to think about that.
Yeah, and I'd like to remind you the last time you were dressed by someone, you
Yes.
forgot to mention the designer and the jeweler.
I'm really trying to reflect on that now because I'm sure you're right, but I don't remember the last time I was dressed
I
by
am
someone.
literally always right.
Well, you're always right, and I want to be happy.
Hun, my job is to make you rich, not happy.
No, this is true, and so you have to listen. If you actually, I want to bring that up to a good point because something that Larry
We're going to be at
would've
an
talked
AI
about-
convention today. We'll talk about that in a tick too.
We will talk about that in a tick too. But something I'm sure Larry would have brought up if we continue the conversation is that in order to progress the way you have and make these celebrities, Kardashians didn't get the way they are, especially the mother pushing them because they were always happy doing something. It takes sacrifice like it does any other job. I mean, imagine his struggle to just get E off the ground.
Absolutely. People, I really do think people are now uncomfortable with discomfort. It's a very strange thing. The two biggest failings I see in up and comers, especially with interns and people I work with, is everybody wants to be right and you're not. If you can learn to be wrong and be wrong for a living, you will make a lot of money because people are ego driven.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be right and they want it to be easy. They don't want the work.
Now that said, there's a catch to that too. It's okay to not go with someone who's really wrong, like an idea that's just going to tank and take away from you and your brand, right? But I think
What do you mean?
Well, for example, if someone's talking to me and the concept of don't be afraid to be wrong, okay, I'm learning new information from this person. If they're giving me information that I know is just factually not true, then I'm not going to run with that just because it may be in a higher place than
I
me.
learned this a long time ago.
Sure.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
If I have a meeting with somebody
Yes.
and I'm explaining how distribution works, that is my specialty, distribution, integrated marketing, a media strategy, basically.
Okay.
And I sit down and I have a conversation with them and they start arguing with me. I'm not arguing with them. You tell me 2 + 2 is 6. I will say yes, because I don't care about you. The only people I will argue with are my family members and loved ones, because I want them to have the right information or I want to have the right information. My uncle can argue with me. My aunt can argue with me. I can argue with, my brother. People I care about. But if I don't care about you, I'm not putting my time into arguing with you. It's exhausting and I don't like you.
I get family doing it
Okay,
because
you're
they
right.
see you in a certain way already.
Mhm.
But if you got a stranger's hiring you for a job and then they're arguing with you about the job you're doing, that's mind blowing to me. I don't get why you do that because you
You're
hired them
right,
for a
and I'm
reason.
not going to argue with you. No, people like to, it's that ego thing that I was talking about. People like to be right. And so what will happen is they'll sit down and say, well, this is how you do this. And I'm
Right.
looking at them going, no, they're not. And as soon as they start to argue, what's the point? They're not going to take my advice anyway. I mean, you and I, Bear and I went out to speak with the US Olympic team. We talked to a few hundred people. I've done a TED talk on how to get famous. And the reality is I've had exactly 0 people follow my advice. 0. I had one in all the time I've done this job, one person, which was Ellie Ringo from Ellie Knows Rocks, and I'm giving her a TV show. Ellie Ringo is the only person I know that ever followed that advice. She paid for, now, by the way, I will be straightforward. Ellie's my friend, so I didn't charge her for my time. I took the money that we have to pay for the focus group, but I didn't charge her for my time. I didn't do any of that. I did it for free. And she is the only person that took advice. People pay me thousands and thousands of dollars and then just don't take the advice.
No, I think the reason why they pay you in that case is because they're paying you for validation. They're paying you to say, hey, you're doing everything great already. You know what? You've got this down.
If you're right, why are you broke?
If they're broke, why are they paying you?
Well, that's the point. So what will happen is I look at their business and I go, okay, here's how you boost your media. So a good business, we work with off-road rentals, full disclosure, it's my uncle and aunt's business. And we just deal with their social media. They don't want to deal with it. They don't want to learn it. Fine. We're happy to do it. But when I hear people turn around and say, well, if this was my business, I'd change this or I'd run it this way. I'm like, do you know how successful they are? Why don't you shut up and learn from them? It's the same thing when people talk to me about film. Just shut up and learn from me. I'm better at this than you are.
I also like that it's the people who are pushing that narrative further, like, hey, this is how we can help your business grow. Well, hey, let me see your business. What if what you're telling me something that has worked? I want to see. No, I'm not going to pick on them for being poor.
I'm failed and they're poor.
All right. I think here's the way I equate it to. I get people who come on social media and they say, hey, your interactions are very low. Here's what I want to help you with my company to boost your interactions. If I go onto your page and you've got nothing going on, or if I can see you've got at most 100 likes on a post, but you got 1 million followers, so I know that you bought all those followers. I'm not going to buy or believe you. You have to see it first.
Well, hang on. I don't judge on that because I have the world's worst social media pages. Because what I did with my Alexis could kill me. What I did with my social media pages was before everyone knew how to work with the algorithm, it was the test dummy. So for the last 10 years, every time a new trend came out or a new thing came out, I used my page as a test dummy. And then Alexis went through my algorithm, and I have the most jacked social media pages of any person I've ever met. So I have times where I have huge numbers and then nothing at all. And then I have a complete mess and nothing at all. So it's very strange. You know, I can't judge someone on their page because I know what I've done to mine and why. I was wrong for not getting a dummy page. I will admit that I was very wrong for not getting a dummy page. But I can point you to people who I have worked with and fixed. But that's
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying though. So let's try it this way. This is what I'm trying to tell them. If you reached out to me and say, hey, your social media is not this great, you could be this much better if you listen to my advice.
I tell you that every week.
What I don't know you. Here's what I've done
he still doesn't
with these creators. Reach out to them if you like and ask them about, like, that's different. Or you can just say, hey, I also produce television shows. There's my credit there.
I am never turning around going, hey, talk to my social media people. I spend half of my time trying to keep people away from my influencers. I'm not going to be like, reach out to them if you want. But I will say this. I've told people how to build their social media. I worked on I worked on Guardians 1 and 2. I've worked on major shows. I do the media for that. I've worked on, I've worked with Coca-Cola, I've worked with Pepsi, I've worked with major brands, and that's great. And I do their media. Here's the thing. I am very well known in my industry.
Okay.
So people know me. I don't have to sell myself in Hollywood. outside of Hollywood with influencers, I don't care to sell myself because they're stupid. And it's
Careful if someone listens to this show out there and that you want to work with them one day.
then they have gotten successful enough that already know who I am. I have an exemplary reputation, but my reputation is not for being kind. It's for being good at my job. And that's
No,
what matters
fair
to
enough.
me. So you can ask Bear. He's been on the wrong end of, I told you to do this on social media and you didn't. How'd that go for you, babe?
I definitely don't like you during those times.
Yeah, why's that?
Because I don't like the way you articulate it to me.
Oh,
But
how's
you're
that?
not. But notice how I'm not saying any of it's wrong. I'm just saying that it hurts my feelings.
Why does it hurt your feelings?
Because you say it in a way that makes me want to cry.
Variety called me the Wicked Witch of the West Coast for a reason.
But it works, you're successful for a reason. And so is Larry. He's successful for his own reason. Now, granted, it may not be because he makes people cry. I'm sure he has.
There have been moments, but he's actually known to be a really nice man.
And we can hear it in the way he's speaking, the humility that he's
projecting. He's really, I love his like, I'm one of the top. I'm like, you are the top.
The baddest bear in the cage has feelings.
The
Thank you,
baddest bear in the cage
wonderful
does
sound
have
engineer.
feelings.
Contrary to public belief, I too have emotions.
That is something I will say. Men in the United States are not given much room for emotions. They really aren't.
I think it's a male culture all around because yes, United States, but for example, the machismo thing's very prevalent in South American countries, even in Spain and Portugal. It's all over the place where men are just expected to be generally tough and lack of emotion.
Where I come from, everyone is expected to, not show emotion.
But that's more like a particular culture thing where there's a time and place for that.
Yes, and not, acting like a fool in public.
And I'll say this, if you're at home alone and you feel the need to cry. If you're in the middle of like a public transit and you just got done making a huge mess of something, not a good time to cry. Not the time for you to have a mental breakdown.
Well, that's what I'm constantly saying to people. It's about manners. Manners are not about you. They're about making society move pleasantly. And I think Americans lack manners. It's okay not to be okay. Actually, that's the best way I've heard it.
It's okay to not be okay.
I like that.
But it's not okay to not have manners.
I agree.
Right?
Yes.
There's
and I think manners are the social lubricant that is necessary in today's society, and we don't have them anymore.
So are lies.
White lies
make the world go around, baby. You have to be willing to not tell everyone 100% of the truth if you want them all to be happy with you, if you want them all to run smoothly.
Stop worrying about people being happy with you. I went to a dressing room. I was trying on clothes.
Okay.
And this woman asked me how something looked. And my friend Kitty damn near tackled me. In my defense, the woman looked like a sausage. But
don't say that.
I couldn't. Kitty put a hand over my mouth and dragged me back in the dressing room.
Good. Because that could have been the next funder for your project. You don't know.
Look, if I ask someone how I look, I expect to be told I look good or bad. One thing I taught my daughter, I'll wear something and say, how does this look? She'll look at me and say, terrible, change. Thank you.
Here's what you can say to that lady in the future for you to know. This is one of those moments where someone is telling you how, that be okay with being wrong, right? You can look at them.
Problem.
You can look at them and say, I don't know what your worst look ever is, but I can assure you that you've looked better. That's all you need to say.
I wouldn't say that to a woman.
Why? What's wrong with that?
Because I'd turn around and say, you're a beautiful woman, but that is not flattering on you.
That works too. But I was just trying to give credence to how I'm sure there have been worse outfits, and I'm sure there's been better outfits. This is a middle of the row look for you, as far as I'm aware.
She looked like a cow wrapped with a stripper in a sausage with the wrapping pulled too tight. There were bulges. She had a camel toe.
Well, let's just be grateful that time has passed.
No,
that it's behind us now.
The last time Alexis had on an outfit where she had a camel toe, she had on these leather pants, and the first thing I did, she's very thrilled.
I'm sorry.
She looked at me and said, how does this look? And I told her.
At least you were honest, I guess.
Alexis,
what can we say if not for
you
honesty?
were not told?
The dead
She's
silence is
ignoring
palpable, actually.
Okay, so maybe I could have been more gentle.
No, but
realistically,
I think your lack of gentleness comes from the industry and the way you were raised that you're in.
It's cultural. It's not the industry. Where I come from, we are taught it's better to tell a truth that hurts and heals. So I'd rather somebody turn around to me and be like, hey, your dress is tucked into your panties, than just be like, I don't want to hurt her feelings. But I genuinely believe truth doesn't care about feelings. And
Yeah.
I think we've gotten too feelings conscious. When I have my truth and you have your truth, then we don't have objective truth.
No.
And I think all that matters is objective truth.
Well,
It's, when we were talking to Mr. Namer, one of the things I was looking at was, objectively, he has changed the world. There are very few people that can say they've changed the world. And I would encourage
Absolutely,
you
he
all
has.
to get his book. If you want to follow somebody that is successful, visionary, and apparently a good cook. Now I want to see these recipes.
I want to see the recipes.
Bear's going to buy this book now.
Same in that same respect about talking about truth and not being concerned about hurting people's feelings. I am not sorry to tell you all the truth is that we're at the end of our show.
I know, and actually, apparently, Larry was about to get
He's
back
about
on. He
to
just
sign back
texted
on,
Alexis.
and
So I'm going to tell you guys this. I'm going to put up a link so you can get his book.
yes,
I'm going to put up a link so you can follow him. The two people in the world I look up to are Aaron Spelling and Larry Namer. They are the two most exceptional people in entertainment history. If you get a chance, please get Larry Namer's book. I will put up a link. I'm the Baroness. We are on with my co-host,
Fiorda.
I was going to go with Fuzzy.
I thought you
Steve
had a
Jobs.
brain fart and forgot my name for a second. Fuzzy Steve Jobs. We need a new Steve Jobs, so I'll take it. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming for you, Apple. Teddy Bear Fiorda.
Oh, I like that. Shout out to the sound engineer. I'm the Baroness. This is Teddy Bear Fiorda. We'll see you next week.
Good night.
This has been Behind the Scenes with the Baroness and Bear Fiorda. Only on Talk 4 Media.